Hello everyone, in this video we'll be learning about average speed. Now average generally, as you understand, of two quantities is basically quantity 1 plus quantity 2 by 2. But in case of speed, this is absolutely wrong. So please never do something like speed 1 plus speed 2 by 2 or speed 1 plus speed 2 plus speed 3 by 3. Please never ever do this. Speeds cannot easily be added or subtracted. This is a rule that you need to always remember. Speeds cannot be added or subtracted easily. So whenever you are doing any mathematical operation on speeds, you need to be very careful. So what is average speed? Average speed has a very simple formula, that is total distance divided by total time taken. And that's the only formula that you can use for average speed. Okay, so this is the only formula. Now we'll be taking some examples to try to make this thing clear to you. So question number 1 is, let me just draw it for you. A person travels the first 10 kilometers at 5 kilometers per hour and travels the next 20 kilometers at 20 kilometers per hour. What is the average speed? Now, as I said, the formula is total distance divided by total time taken. Total distance is what? 10 plus 20? Nothing basically required more out of this. Now, what is the total time taken? Now, for the time, as you know, distance is equal to speed into time. So, time is equal to distance divided by speed. But I need to take this portion separately and this portion separately, because the distance is different, the speed is different, there is nothing common. So what do? What is the time taken for this part? The first part is the distance 10 kilometers divided by the speed, that is 5 kilometers per hour, plus this is time t1. Then what is my time t2? That is time taken to cover this bit, is total distance, which is 20 of this bar t2 divided by the speed with which the person is covering this, which is 20 kilometers per hour. So if I write this more neatly, I get 30 over 10 by 5 plus 20 by 20, which is equal to 30 divided by 2 plus 1, which is equal to 10 kilometers per hour. So my average speed is 10 kilometers per hour. Okay, now let's take another example. Now, let's say a person goes from point A to point B. Okay, I don't know what this distance is, but the person goes from point A to B and travels at a speed 10 kilometers per hour. Then he returns from point B to A and travels at a speed 20 kilometers per hour. Again, I am being asked the average speed. So first thing that I need to see here is that the distance between A and B is the same as distance between B and A. So let me take that distance to be D. That is, D is the distance between A and B. Now, what is my total distance traveled? Total distance traveled is 2 times D. This is the total distance divided by total time taken. Total time taken is the time taken in going from A to B, time taken in going from time A to B, plus time taken in coming from B to A. So this is equal to total distance is 2D over time taken from going from A to B is distance D divided by the speed of the person, which is 10, plus distance D, that is time taken from B to A, again distance is D divided by the speed of the person, which is 20. So this is my average speed, and if I solve this, I will get 3D into 20. So D and D cancels, and this is equal to 13.33 kilometers per hour. Now, if you see, this is very straightforward, but there are certain people who try to put this into a formula. So I will tell you the formula for the sake of completeness. So if you see, This is, if I just write this in generic terms, I have 2d over d by s1 plus d by s2. This formula applies only when in the two parts the distance is equal. So this is equal to, you take this as common, s1 plus s2, this multiplied by s1 s2 and d. So now once I have this, I will be cancelling this and I get 2 s1 s2 by s1 plus s2. This is my average speed. I can write this in another form. I can write this as 2 by average speed is equal to 1 by speed 1 plus 1 by speed 2. And this is a formula which if you want you can remember, because sometimes if the average speed is given or the total distance and the total time is given, you can calculate average speed, and one of these quantities might be unknown, your s1 or s2, and hence you can find it out very quickly using this. But you need to remember this formula is applicable only when s1 is being used in distance d and s2 is also being used in distance d. So these two distances have to be equal, otherwise this formula cannot be used. Okay, now let's take another example. Now till now we were looking at the scenarios where the distance total was being divided into two parts, but we can also have a case where the distance is divided into three parts. So this is my timeline. I have 10 kilometer distance is being traveled at 2 kilometers per hour. Then 20 kilometers is being traveled at 4 kilometers per hour, and 30 kilometers remaining is being traveled at 10 kilometers per hour. So very simple, my average speed is equal to total distance by total time, again, which is equal to total distance is 10 plus 20 plus 30, which is equal to 60, divided by total time taken is 10 kilometers, that is 10 by 2 will be time t1, t2 will be 20 by 4 plus 30 by 10, which is equal to 60 by 5 plus 5 plus 3, which is equal to 60 by 13, which is equal to 4.61 kilometers per hour. This is what I get if I this. So you see there's basically no difference. All you need to do is apply this formula and you'll be able to find the answer. Okay, now let's take another question. This is slightly different from what we've seen till now. Now in this case, let us say I am given that for half of the total time I travel, these are the speeds here, I travel at 40 kilometers per hour. Then for 1/3 of the total time I travel at, let us say, 60 kilometers per hour. And for the remaining time it says I travel at 90 kilometers per hour. What is my average speed? So now here, as you can see, till now what we were having was we were given distance. The division was in the terms of distance. So you need to read the question very carefully. Here I am given total times. So let us now take, first of all, that let's say my total time is equal to t, because I'm being given the divisions of these. First of all, let's see what are the times here. This will become t by 2, this will become t by 3, and the remaining will basically be t minus t by 2 minus t by 3, which is t by 6. Okay, so let us say my total time is equal to t. Now what is my total distance? Total distance is distance traveled during this plus distance traveled during this plus distance traveled during this. Total distance is d1 plus d2 plus d3. So what is d1? d1 is time t1 into speed 1. So now I'll be using this for all of these. So for d1 I have t by 2 multiplied by 40 is the distance traveled. Then d2 is similarly t by 3 into 60 plus d by 3 is d3 is t by 6 into 90. This is my total distance. Then I will divide this whole thing by the total time taken, which I have here is t. So divided by t. So this is very straightforward because we'll basically going to cancel most of the things. So if you solve this, you will get 20t plus 20t plus 15t, the whole thing divided by t. This if you solve, you will get 55 t divided by t, which is equal to 55 kilometers per hour, and this is your average speed. So see, it's basically if you have the concept clarity, whatever the jugglery the question does, you'll be able to tackle it very easily.